And what in heaven's name brought you to Casablanca?
My health. I came to Casablanca for the waters.
The waters? What waters? We're in the desert.
I was misinformed.
He taught me, keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
You're tearing me apart!
What?
You say one thing, he says another, and everybody changes back again!
It's the Al Travis Show, and we're lucky to have him. We call him Colonel Doge. That's because we're tight with him. His name is Senator Jeff Howe. Senator, thanks for being here. Because a whole lot of new folks joining us in the Rochester area, where exactly is Jeff Howe's hometown? Where do you send it out of?
I live in the big city of Rockville.
Oh, that's a good city. Good
city
city
it's
indeed.
Just outside of St. Cloud. I'm 10 miles from the mall. My district literally wraps around St. Cloud, and I have the honor of having one of the oldest breweries in the state of Minnesota, Cold Spring Brewery.
Oh,
in the
have to go up there.
In the
gonna have to go up there and have one with you. How long you been the senator?
This is it's my 7th year, I believe.
All right, congratulations. So you've been in, I call you Colonel Doge. When you start coming to the program with us, you help me find all these just crazy things we're spending on. You were Doge before Doge was cool, and that's what I like about you. Can we talk just a minute about the state of the state address from the governor last night?
Absolutely.
I was talking with Senator Kent yesterday, and we were talking about, of course, she just thought this was going to be just a wonderful experience. And I said, I think you got two options here. I think he's going to have a hard time not going after Trump, which isn't what he's supposed to do. This is to sit here in front of you legislators and say, hey, here's the good thing, and here's a good thing, and here's something we should work on together, and here's the thing. It should be an uplifting little speech for us in Minnesota. Now, you can't lie about it. Something's bad, it's bad. But from what I can tell, this guy wanted nothing more than to rip Donald Trump, and I don't think it played well.
Well, you're on that stage. He's got the legislature there. He should be telling us, especially when we're coming into the throes of the battle of the budget here, to set the stage on here's what's important. This is what's important to get done for the citizens of Minnesota, to set us on a good direction to get things done. And he missed that opportunity and decided to stay on that platform that he's been on the national stage to go after the current administration on the federal level. The federal level is the federal level. We can't, us as the state legislature can't influence that. Let's concentrate on what we can do for the citizens of our state. And he missed an opportunity to coalesce and make us focus on what's important for you and everyone else in the state of Minnesota.
See, and I think you're absolutely right. And what he misses here is whatever problems we have in Minnesota, and there are some, I don't know if you heard some of this waste and fraud that's going on just here in the States. There's some things we could talk about. A little here, a little that. You could say that's going on. You could say that possibly there's $6 billion looming in the future. That's kind of a bad thing. And you don't want to dwell on the negative. But to sit here and be the governor for 6 years and say, what's really the bad thing is that guy in Washington who's been there all of 90 days. He said, oh, this is coming and this is coming. It's like, oh my gosh, you've been here 6 years and you're blaming the guy who's been there 90 days on what might come down the road. I don't think it played well. That's what I'm saying. It sat hollow.
I had one of my soldiers text me last night after the State of the State and said, worst speech ever. And I think that kind of hit the nail on the head, because I think he missed the opportunity to actually speak to the people and the legislature on what we're going to do now, because he's been, like you say, Al, he's been in there for 6 years. And you're going to tell me the guy that's been in there less than 100 days has set the table for us in the state of Minnesota and what's going right, what's going wrong?
And he tried. He just can't help himself currently. And I think it's all this traveling around ripping the president outstate. Is he goes, it's really cool that in Minnesota the legislature is so close and it's our neighbors hiring our friends to go talk. And then as soon as he takes a breath, but it's that darn Donald Trump. He just couldn't stay focused on it. Well, we'll get the busted down more as we go. What I would like to ask you about, This Moriarty gal, the DA up in Minneapolis. So I was wrong. I want to mention I was wrong because I think I brought up yesterday was the day before. This guy gets caught. Minneapolis police catch him. He's the guy who keyed 6 different Teslas. And Moriarty, the DA there, said, well, we're going to put him in a diversion program. It was $20,000 in damage. I just off the cuff, like, I don't see anybody going to jail for keying a car. And I thought, I'd let it go. But then I start thinking, sir, and tell me how wrong. This guy isn't some guy. This guy works for the Department of Human Services. This guy is 33 years old. This guy just couldn't help himself going by a Tesla. He did it in a couple of night series and hit 6 Teslas. I think he actually does need to be fired from the state of Minnesota. I'm sorry.
Absolutely does. And to me, he's part of the Walz administration, and Walz should be the first one. This governor should be the first one to ask for his resignation and force him out the door. That, to me, shows, and Al, I believe that if that was you or me, whole different scenario here, right?
Well, exactly. And Walz got himself in a little bit of hot water making a joke. And I cut him slack here about, putting the Tesla app on his phone because he likes to see it go down. All right. I think he was trying to be funny. I cut him slack on that. But he doesn't let up on it.
But okay.
That's fine. Okay. But he hasn't let up on it. Speech after speech, he's all about Trump or Musk being a bad guy and yada, yada, swearing a ton. And then somebody who works for him. Technically, now he did not hire the guy from the Human Services Department, but a 33-year-old man somehow decides not once, twice, 3 times, I'm going to key and put $20,000 in damage. This program is set up for anything under $5,000, and for the most part, it's supposed to be set up for kids to do something stupid. Let's not ruin their lives. This is a 33-year-old man.
Al, come on now. He's just going to go through the program 4 times. He'll get to the $20,000 limit. We'll get there.
Again, back to if it was you or I and we did it against some monument to a Democrat, they would hate it. You can't tell me this isn't a hate crime. He hit Teslas because it's Musk and it's tied to Orange Man. The police chief in Minneapolis is trying to say, well,
motivated, right? It's
exactly.
Because of what that means. I like there's a few people out there talking about, well, maybe Musk should invest in Harley or something and watch him go after the Harley riders and see what happens to them.
See, yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I want to go to break. When we come back, I want to ask you, I presume you have some thoughts. The Supreme Court in Minnesota actually went the way of Second Amendment rights this week. 18 to 20-year-olds, you bet you have a right to apply for your permits, and we'll talk about that with Colonel DOGE here right after this.
All the special interests are represented in St. Paul. But who speaks for you? Center of the American Experiment does. Our policy fellows dig into the tough issues that matter to you and offer common sense solutions on education, taxes, crime, and energy. American Experiment is the trusted, nonpartisan voice of Minnesotans like you. We are working every day to make Minnesota a better, safer, more prosperous place. We are American Experiment. Go to americanexperiment.org to learn more.
If it's your turn to host a game, Grandpa's Barbecue suggests you try something different. Put out the perfect barbecue flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. Add it to your ribs, dip the meatballs, or drench your wings in the original flavor of Grandpa's Barbecue. It isn't too hot or spicy, fruity or smoky or whatever. Grandpa's Barbecue. Available in select stores and online at grandpasbarbecueshop.com.
You don't need to ask him his opinion more than once. Al Travis on The Al Travis Show.
We've got him, Senator Jeff Howe, on the program with us. Colonel DOGE. Colonel, I thought this was very big of the Supreme Court in Minnesota. They turned down, or they affirmed, one or the other, but basically said 18 to 20-year-olds should be allowed to apply for carry permits in the state of Minnesota. For a guy who's been in the service with a lot of 18-year-olds who learned how to use weapons and do that to save this country, I thought it was a no-brainer. Your thoughts?
I agree. I don't know why we separated them out in the first place. How do you? They're eligible to serve in the military. They're allowed to sign contracts, get married, do all kinds of things. Actually, get tattoos. Can you believe that? If you're 18, you can get a tattoo without your parents'
Without their parents' permission. Yes.
So if you can do all that, why can't you? Try to explain. You can do all these other things, but by gosh, you can't carry a gun. And I think I think they made the right decision. Are we just going to arbitrarily decide that, hey, you got to be 40 in order to drive a car, or
No. Yeah, I think they came up with a good one here. And again, as a service guy, you train these 18-year-old kids to go do these things. You tell them to come home to Minnesota, you can't carry a weapon. It makes no sense. Other thought, the ethics committee meeting hit yesterday, day before yesterday, where Senator Bobby Joe Champion went to them asking for some opinion piece on whether what he did was right or wrong, because he really didn't know. Now, he's a lawyer, he's a senator, he was head of the ethics committee. What's this coming to them for their opinion after you'd done a thing?
And you see that, I think Senator Miller said it best the other day, because he sits on the ethics committee also. He said, normally if you're coming for an opinion, you do that before you do the act. That's a preparatory deal to going, hey, I'm looking at doing this. Is this a problem? Well, you don't come to, because I think what Bobby Joe, Senator Champion's doing right now is I think he's setting the condition that if he can get an opinion, he's going to use that opinion when the actual ethics complaint gets heard next week. So I think he's trying to get evidence to help him in his debacle that he created. So he should have came to get an opinion before he did the act, not afterwards. And I think it puts the ethics committee should not even rule on this thing. They should.
Well, this is how easy. How
do we say something? Because now that's going to taint the pool for when we actually have to rule on it.
I don't want to poo-poo the ethics committee, but I'm going to poo-poo the ethics committee. You've got a senator who may or may not allegedly went in her mother's basement and has got 2 felony counts against her, and we're not going to worry about it. We're not going to make a judgment on this thing. It's just not for us to do. But they'll come up with an ethics ruling on something he should or shouldn't have done after the cat. It's like your kid coming in saying, hey, Dad, is it okay that I ate those cookies? Like, well, what am I going to do about it now?
The other day,
what's that?
I think it was Tuesday, on the anniversary of the day she got arrested, Senator Mitchell actually spoke for the first time on the Senate floor.
I did not see that. I did not. Okay, did she have anything brilliant to say?
I didn't think so, but whatever.
Right. Fair enough. One last topic before we go. I mean, your guys' biggest deal, you got 2 things coming up, and one you have to get done. Where are we sitting with the budget and the budget bills? As I understand it, there's only been 4 of the 12 parts or whatever that have even gotten to where they got to be, and you got to match them up with the other house. Where are we sitting on the budget? And then we'll talk bonding after that.
Well, let's do it the other way around. Bonding, to me, isn't going to happen unless we get a budget bill, and it'll be if we get a budget bill, it'll be decided the last throws of the minutes of the session, because what'll be determined as if we get across the board. But I think the budget piece, I think, is some people say, well, we're going to get this done. Everybody's talking positive because they're looking at the conference committees, because the bills are far apart. They're much different. And the problem that I see we face is these bills are going to go to the conference committee, and the biggest problem they have is the committees. These bills had different targets. They didn't have joint targets. Okay. So the Senate had a target for a part of the bill, like the education bill or whatever, and the Senate had a different target. So when they get into conference committee and start picking and choosing what parts of each bill they're going to do, well, they got different costs. So how do you come to a term when your numbers are different for each committee, each bill?
Well, is this the first time we've ever done this, sir? I mean, what I don't, well, we also took 3 weeks off at the beginning when we didn't do anything. Why is this so out of kilter?
Well, normally we end up with joint targets, right?
Okay.
That
Yeah.
the Senate and the House, everybody gets together, the leadership gets together and determine here's the number.
Yep.
And here's each number, each committee. We never got to joint targets. And without joint targets, I don't see how this gets done.
Well, it has to. So I don't know how it gets done cleanly, but let me ask you this. Did the governor then do himself any favors with the comments he made last night? He hasn't been around much. I presume his people would do this anyway. Are his people involved in this writing the bill stuff? So when you two get together, the House and the Senate, all of a sudden throw a third cook in the stew? Is that how it works? Or are they in there in this grind?
Well, a lot of these budget bills coming out of the Senate are, some of it are right with the governor's proposal. Some of them are far, far different than the governor's proposal. So it's a crapshoot right now. And the way that the governor is used to operating these last 6 years is he's always had his finger on the scale, right?
Okay.
And to me, the legislature has advocated, they've just lost their focus, because what we should do as a legislature is pass the budget bill, send it to the governor, and let him decide what he's going to sign and what he's going to veto. That's what we did in Dayton's time frame, because I'll never forget it. I worked very hard to get a Boy Scout provision into the education bill and the omnibus education bill.
Yep.
And I got that Boy Scout piece in there, and I did it on the House floor. It got added into conference committee. It went to the governor, and the governor, Dayton, vetoed that education bill because the legislature did what it was supposed to do. They send the bill to the governor. He vetoed that bill, and I've never been able to get that Boy Scout provision back in law. I have never been able to get it there.
Oh, wow.
And I'm going, that is the way it's supposed to work, right?
Okay.
The
Yeah.
legislature does its work, does the budget, sends it to the governor, and the governor can decide what he's going to do, what he's not going to do, and what he's going to sign. Instead, this governor has always been inside the realm and actually deciding what he's going to sign and what he's not going to sign ahead of time. So it's going to be interesting to how this goes, because now he doesn't control everything. Yeah. And he knows he's got to get it done. Everybody's in a little bit of strange waters here that it's never been done before. So,
well, let's do this. Let's get together next week and find out how much closer we are. Fair enough?
I'm looking forward to it, because I tell you what, everybody is really interested on how this plane's going to land. And I don't know if you can foam the runway enough to get the bird down safely.
Fair enough. We'll watch it. Thank you, my friend. He's Senator Jeff Howe on the Al Travis Show.